Hello, Storm Knights. This is Lima Crafton, and I'm doing a tutorial on how to actually run a session in Roll20. There is a ton of videos out there that you can watch the way different game masters run adventures in Roll20, but they usually don't stop action or describe what they're doing while they're actually playing the game. And this session, that's what I kind of want to do. I want to show you what I'm doing behind the scenes as a game master. I might switch over to player view so you can see what the players see at certain times, and maybe now and then take little pauses in the actual game so that I can show you some tips and tricks on how to do things. So first off, I personally use Discord for voice. Roll20 does have a voice and video setup, but they kind of sometimes get a little wonky, and Discord seems to be a little more stable. Sometimes people will have to leave and come back into the Discord channel, but it usually works better than Roll20. I've also gamed as a player using Zoom and Roll20, so you don't have to specifically use Discord. You can use whatever your favorite voice app is. So first off, I want to introduce my two Storm Knights for today that have graciously volunteered to be recorded and go through an adventure with brand new characters. So my first Storm Knight is Anthony.
Hello.
And he is playing a cyber papal drone jockey. So this here is his token. If I go to the character sheet up in for a game master, it's the third tab over is a journal tab, and then I can go down and I can click open his character sheet. Now, if a game master and a player are both looking at the character sheet at the same time, if one of them changes something, like if I go to story, he is also going to go to story. And if he switches back to abilities, then I will switch back to abilities. So whatever the page of that character sheet is open, it will bounce back and forth. So as a game master, if you are trying to look for something really fast on a character sheet, you might let the player know, hey, I need to look at this other page real fast. Otherwise, you're just going to be fighting over who has control over the character sheet. So he's going to be playing Void, the drone jockey. And then Peter is my other Storm Knight.
Howdy.
And he will be playing Jean-Paul Clouseau, who is a French foreign legionnaire. This is his character sheet. So they can both have those open, and even if I close my version of it, they still can have theirs open. So the only time that the character sheets kind of mess with each other is when you're trying to switch to the different pages of the character sheet. One thing I do want to show... Actually, what?
A lot of times, whenever you give a pop-up as well, we have to actually close it if we don't want it open anymore.
Okay, right. So once I show a pop-up, like I can do that right now. So I'm going to show both of you your portraits. So I'll bring up Void first. And right now, I have this only set for me. So I'm the only one that can see it. But if I hit show to players, it has a little pop-up. This is not visible to players. So I can show it to everybody. So if I show it now, they now should see that handout, that pop-up. And if I cancel it and X out, they still have that pop-up until they themselves close it. And then I can do the same thing with John Paul. I can show to the players. They're not visible. I go ahead, show it to everybody. Now everybody has that. And before, they would not have had that over here in their journal tab. Now they will have that portraits folder with those character portraits in it. So we have that. The other thing I wanted to show on one of the character sheets is this edit button. When you are setting up the character sheet, here is the name of the character. Here you'll see that I have it in the player's journal, Anthony. That means he will be able to at least see the character. And if I go back, he'll see this bio and info page. You have to control and edit it to that player for them to actually be able to use the character sheet and see it. We just had one. Peter, I forgot to give him control of editing and control, so he wasn't able to get into the character sheet. One thing also I'll show you real fast is, if you remember the last video, you can take a character, or sorry, take a player and put them onto a different map. So if I put myself onto the map that I made earlier and I go over to that map, you'll notice over here, if I show you void in the edit, I do not have myself as control. So as a game master, it's fine. I can pick up tokens, I can move them around, and I don't have a problem because I'm a game master. But if I go and I enter and rejoin as the player, now I'm split from the group because I moved myself to the other tab, but I can't pick up and drag the tokens because I have not given myself a token to be able to control. So that is one thing to remember as a game master. If you are using that, see as a player so you can see what the players see. If you join that as a player, you will only be able to control the tokens that you have given yourself control of. So I can go back, click edit, and then I can put it in my journal and make it editable by myself as a player, and I can do the same thing with the other character and set those up. So I will go ahead and move myself back to the original page. And this currently is what everybody sees, except for they have the complete black border around the middle area because they're the players, and I can show you that real fast. So what Anthony and Peter are seeing, whoops, and I just went to chat, is this. So that is what they are looking at. And as a game master, this is what I'm seeing. So the session for today is in the cyber papacy. So just a reminder to everybody, cyber papacy has axioms of magic of 14, social of 18, spirit of 16, and tech of 26. Both of the characters are from France originally, but Jean-Paul stayed core Earth, whereas in the moment of crisis, Void transformed into cyber papacy reality. So we have two people that are both originally core Earth Frenchmen. One of them transformed during their moment of crisis. And also, as a reminder to everybody, if you gain any cyber papal possibilities during the adventure, you can use that to either force a reroll of any magic test or faith test if they're not cyber church faith. So if somebody casts a spell or a non-cyber church miracle and they do a really good job, and you want to try to make it so they don't do as good of a job, you can spend a possibility and make them re-roll. or vice versa. If say there was um, or it says opponent, so if basically it's if they do a really good job and you don't want them to do a good job, and they can also they don't have a minimum reroll of 10 if you would use them on a cyber church faith test or magic. Neither of these characters have miracles or magic, but if they did and they decided to use a cyber papacy possibility on it, they would not get that minimum of a 10. In roll 20, how you do that is you count it as an up in the uh, in the chat box. So we'll go ahead and get started. Um, you are in a small uh, suburb of Paris, so you're not in Paris proper, but close enough that a lot of Parisians will go to this small town for like vacations and such in the summer. And you're kind of walking down one of the streets, and you see a a person. It kind of just looks like a normal person living in the cyber papacy under Pope Jean Malraux's rule, and she runs up to you, and she's panting pretty hard, and she reaches out um, to Jean Paul, and she kind of hands towards you, sort of like a plastic tube with an end cap, and she places it into your hand, and kind of before you can even react, she just turns around and runs away.
I will take a closer look at the tube.
So the tube is kind of like what you might be able to say put a toothbrush in. So it's a round tube with an end cap. It's not clear, but it's not like a big tube. It's kind of a small circumference.
So, like you said, it'd be something that, say, a camping toothbrush would be put in, or a travel.
Right, exactly.
Okay.
Well, I will have my scout drone active, and I
Okay.
want to send it up and looking down the way she came to see if she was running from somebody.
Okay. So make a find check, and since you have the drone jockey perk, I believe you can use whichever find is better, yours or your drones.
Correct, but I have a feeling his is better.
I'm going to take a closer look at the tube. I'm going to shake it gently, listen to see if I can hear what's inside of it, even take a sniff of it to see if there's any particular odor.
Okay. You also give me a find check for that, and
Now
Anthony,
this is
you're
favored. This is favored for the
okay.
drone, but I don't think I can roll better than the original.
Okay. So your drone flies up and it looks out, and it doesn't seem like she was running specifically away from anything. It looks more like she was just trying to get to you fast and get out of there before maybe some cyber papal uh, cameras, which are pretty much everywhere, saw her hand off whatever she handed to Jean Paul. Jean Paul, you don't really hear anything like clanking. There might be something very light inside of it, and you don't smell any different odors coming from
Okay.
the tube.
How is the tube capped? Is it a screw-on? It is a flip top?
It looks like it's just a pop-off cap that probably there's an inner piece that kind of just holds into it. So it's not necessarily a screw on, but if you take the cap out, it's not going to be attached to the tube itself.
Okay.
Perhaps we should step off the street.
That's what I was going to say. Step off into an alley or a doorway, something where maybe out of the vision of a camera.
Okay. So
I
you
will
kind of
switch my drone to stealth mode to kind of give us overwatch.
okay. So you switch over to stealth mode. You kind of step off the main sidewalk into kind of a back alley.
I will then open up the tube
Okay.
away. I won't be looking directly down on it in case something shoots out of it.
Okay. So you kind of hold it sort of like at arm's length and pop off the cap with kind of your head averted a little bit, and
Yep.
you pop off the cap and nothing untowards happens.
Okay. I will look down into it.
You see what appears to be a rolled up note.
I will shake it out into my hand.
Okay, so kind of a rolled up note, and that's why it didn't really shake when you were shaking it, is because it
Right.
expanded enough to kind of fill that area of the tube. You pull out the note, and it says the following: a local resistance crew was involved in a skirmish with church police near Rue Jean Moulin and Avenue de la Marche. During the battle, the team's cyber witch accidentally summoned a demon. The demon fled during the chaos, and the team was too compromised to pursue it. Please proceed to the area, locate the demon, and eliminate it. Such a creature is pure malevolence and could do untold damage to innocent people. The cyber church doesn't seem to be active in the area. They are almost certainly waiting for the demon to do some damage so they can blame the resistance for summoning it. So, to let the audience know, my games don't necessarily take place exactly in the same world as the normal Torg Eternity world. Mine's a little darker. There is no Delphi Council. There is kind of a circle of knights and various other organizations like the Resistance. But these two Storm Knights here have been kind of just working together a little bit, and they're part of the. You guys are part of the Resistance, but you're not part of the overall circle of knights. So, you both being from France, from the area, are going against the Cyberpope's rule of France. So, you know that notes are usually in the Resistance carried by hand, because anything electronic has a chance to be tapped by the cyber papacy, whether it's your cell phone or a computer, email, text message, messenger, or what have you. Almost all of that is going to be observed. So
Right.
handwritten notes are pretty much the way you guys get messages back and forth.
How far is it to this place?
It's not too far. Like I said, it's a small town that you're in, and you are in that same place. You being locals from the area, not from other cosms or anything, you would know where the intersection of, or the those two streets and the area around it. So you could get there pretty quickly.
Okay.
And I say we be on our way. Now, out of curiosity, because I don't know Cyber People as well as I should, I guess, but Are demons kind of stereotypically all the same, like they all fly and stuff like that, or could there be many different types?
There are various forms of demons. Basically, in Torg Eternity, demons are kind of bad thoughts and bad actions given flesh. So, depending on what that bad, evil thing that somebody did was, they can manifest differently.
So we start heading towards the intersection.
Okay, so um, what I will do now is, since we actually started the adventure and they're kind of moving from the preamble or intro scene to a new scene, is both Anthony and Peter will need cards. They'll need their 4 Destiny cards and their Cosm cards. So over here, I set up my deck, and if I go to the second to the last tab, which is called Collections, you'll see I have decks here. So I have a drama deck, which is the normal drama deck. Now, personally, as a way to not make the normal drama deck obsolete once all the specific Cosm drama decks are, I use the drama deck in mixed zones. So when there are 2 various Cosms equally important, I will just use the normal drama deck. One is not overriding the other one. If you want to, you can mix drama decks, but in that case, you'll have to make even an additional deck. So that's why I use the that drama deck. Now, in this session, we are in the Cyber Papacy, so you'll see this here. I have it marked as CP drama deck, and that's why it says hide and the other ones up here says show. If I wanted that one on the screen, I would hit show. If I wanted to take this one off, I would hit hide. So I'm showing the Cyber Fable drama deck that's here. That's what we will use. For the Destiny deck, I have my Destiny card here. It's already out. Now we're starting a new game. And just to be sure, I'll go ahead and shuffle it. So if you hover your mouse over that deck and you go to shuffle, you can click that and shuffle the game or shuffle the deck. And then I can either take this top card that kind of pops up and I can drag it over to the name, and you'll see that the name is now highlighted in yellow. So I can do that, which takes a little while, or I can click the deal. And they need 3 cards, so I can just type in 3, and then I can choose. Here I chose Anthony, and then I choose Peter. And if I wanted to do all, I could check whether or not it's going to all the players in the campaign, whether they're on or offline. I tend not to do that unless I have absolutely everybody. But then it's going to give them to me as well, and then I'll have to discard. So it's always easier to just go ahead, enter people's names, and then I hit deal. And now you'll see down here, they both have 4 cards. And everybody should have access to be able to see. So if you go in, I can click that card down here, it pops up. And then if I don't click the middle, because then it'll go into a whole stealing thing. But if I just click the edge of the card, then it's going to pop up in the middle, so I can read it better. And then one thing I will need is, and I don't have it, so I'll show you how that works. If I go to my settings and go to Transmogrifier, and if I choose one of my other games of Torg, and I go down to decks, I'm going to need that divider deck. So I'm going to look down here. Full hand. So I drag it and drop it. And now I should have that in my collection. So here you'll see that there's only one, but it's infinite. So if I show that, then I can just drag and drop and give each of them that card. And I'll go ahead and I'll just pull one up here. So they'll manipulate cards so that they can see anything on this side of the card is when they're in combat, they'll be placing into their pool. And if it's on this side, they're placing it into their hand. So I'll go ahead and delete that, but that's how that works. And basically you just need to give your players one of those one time, never take it away, and then you don't have to worry about that deck. For the Cyber Papacy deck, I will go ahead and I'll shuffle that one. And it looks like we lost Anthony. So I'll give Peter.
I'm still here, I think.
Your icon disappeared.
Your icon on Roll20 disappeared.
Huh. Okay,
So
I still see it.
There you pop back up. So it must have just been a bad connection. So go ahead, and unless somebody gets an attuned card, there won't be any more Cyber Papal cards. I can go ahead and hide that. I hid the wrong one. I can go ahead and hide that, and then we can only worry about the two decks that we're going to regularly be dealing with. So I gave everybody your 4 cards. I gave you the Cosm card. Does anybody have a Cosm card that only has a magic user type thing? It looks like
Yep.
it. So this one, so if there's no spellcasters, you discard. So I probably shouldn't have got rid of that deck quite yet. So see if that one's any better.
Alrighty.
I also have one about magical burnout, which is for spellcasters.
Okay, is it if you don't have any, discard this and get another one?
I'll keep that one.
Actually, it doesn't say that.
So it looks like sometimes Roll20 started having a glitch where you might not be able to pull up somebody's cards. So if you're the game master and like I can see Peter's, I can go over here and by looking at his Cyber Papacy card, I can see what that is, sort of plan a little ahead. For Anthony, I can't. So if you get into that, sometimes if you just refresh, so you go up to your browser, you hit the refresh, you reload, sometimes then it works. And I don't know what that little bug is with Roll20, but sometimes that happens. So now I can see, and why this is a lot bigger, it's just when I was using the snippet tool, I had the resolution a lot bigger on the screen. So if I would have realized that when I was making the original decks, I would have made it big so it could be easily seen. But I am currently too lazy to go back and do a couple of hundred cards. So if I have to get closer to the screen, I will do that. So this one is play at the start of the scene. And for the rest of the scene, casting spells gain a malfunction range. If a malfunction is rolled, the character cannot cast spells with that skill for the rest of the combat. Storm Knights and spellcasters gain, or Storm Knight spellcasters gain 1 possibility. So probably the reason why this isn't a discard if you don't have any is because the malfunction's kind of a bad thing. And if there's a threat against the Storm Knights, this would count against them as well. So I just clicked the screen and then that one went away. And that looks like Anthony had another weird type of disconnect with Roll20 if he's still on Discord though.
Yeah, I think I'm having problems with the Wi-Fi where I'm at. Hold on a sec.
Okay. So since you can hear us, I'll go ahead with some of the scene. you get to that. Oh, that's funny. Now it won't close. So I will go ahead and restart again, or refresh, not restart. And now things are back to normal. So it is kind of good that a few little strange things are happening, so then I can show you ways to get around that in case that happens to you.
And it's
So,
gone again.
yep, you went out, but at least you can get back in. And in times like this, if the person can talk, then he can at least tell me what to do, and I can move tokens, I can roll character sheets and stuff like that. So
Right, and I'm also working from a tablet, so I'm going to have Layman do that for me on some cases anyway.
okay, yeah. So Roll20 does work various degrees of success with tablets and even with phones. They used to have a app in the Google App Store, but it's no longer there. I'm not sure why it was taken off. The chat screen over here basically took up the whole thing, but if you turned it sideways, you had a little visible viewing area. But you can use various ways to get onto Roll20 if need be. If you're in a case where you have to do it and you can't sit down at a laptop or a desktop computer. Um, so the intersection that was at the note seemed pretty, like I said, you'd have been in the city before, you know where things are, so it's pretty simple to find. You do notice, though, since the last time you've been here, something definitely has changed. There are what appears to be bullet holes that have riddled the walls, and you see scorch marks remaining from what appears to have been some type of firefight. But the street itself is barren of people. So it's kind of like a firefight broke out, people scrammed, and they have not come back out.
What's around this area? Is it houses? Are there cafes?
There's various shops. Actually, one shop that you see is kind of a what do I say, like a dessert shop where they have little pastries. You actually do see a shopkeeper kind of looks like he's trying to repair damage to the store sign. In Cyber Papacy, there are various areas where holograms and hard light constructs kind of get put over the facade. You know, they're kind of a facade to what's
Right.
reality behind it. But this is kind of a little smaller town, so not every place in it has that. So he looks like he's trying to, repair his shop. You do see some other, various shops, everything from electronics to, like I said, this was a pastry. There's some eateries and restaurants, and some buildings, possible like hotels and stuff like that along the street.
So it's more commercial than residential.
Yes.
Okay. Well, I'm going to go up to the shopkeeper and strike up a conversation with him.
Okay.
Pardon, monsieur, did you see what happened?
He looks down. He says, "Hello." And normally I would try to use a bad French accent, but because this is a tutorial, I will not subject you to a bad French accent that you probably won't understand what I'm talking about. So he kind of looks down. He's, because he's up on kind of a step ladder repairing a sign above his shop. He's just kind of like, "Oh, hello," and He's like, I'm just repairing my sign.
What happened here?
So just some things. And he kind of looks around a little suspiciously.
How did your sign get damaged?
Go ahead and roll me a persuasion.
I don't have persuasion.
So what you can do there is you can go to your character sheet, and I'll kind of mime along for the viewers. And if you look to see where it says skills up at the top,
Yep.
you can press that button, because it's actually a button,
Right.
and then you can go down to where it says persuasion. It's kind of in the second column, and you
Yep.
can click that, check it, and then go
Okay.
back and click skills again, and that gets rid
Okay.
of it. Now he has persuasion here. So if he hits persuasion,
No
just click
modifier.
and no modifier, and you'll see here it says that his value is 7, and his it says unskilled, so it will know if you don't have any ads over here, it will roll it as unskilled, which means that it will not re-roll on 20s. So that's kind of built into this character sheet, which is pretty interesting. Oops, I somehow had you at wounded, so I will actually click that off. When I was looking at things earlier and trying to make sure that stuff was set up, I usually give people a wound and then take it away. I forgot to take it away, so the wound we'll just it'll be a 0. So
Okay.
you did roll a 2, which was pretty bad. It wasn't an actual disconnect by persuading. Even though you have different axioms, you don't have the 4 case, and persuading is just talking. So unless you're in the living land, which is terribly social and trying to do some highfalutin, bartering
Right.
or something, it's not going
I-
to disconnect you.
I'm
But
poorly
you're
care about stupid shopkeepers.
right. So the bonus was a -8. So instead of it being a -2, it's actually a -1. So it's
So
still
I have another problem for you to possibly show them how to fix, Lane.
okay.
For some reason, I have no skill ads whatsoever on my character sheet all of a sudden.
Be right back.
Interesting. So we'll pop up void. Huh. You are correct. They all disappeared.
I have no idea how that happened. I reset and I opened all the character sheets and they were gone.
And what's actually pretty interesting is your the free languages I gave you, those are actually there.
Right.
So sometimes if you but it didn't look like it. Sometimes if I go to add something or take away something, other ones will pop up, but no, nothing came through.
And unfortunately, I can't really edit that on the tablet. That's
Right.
the hardest thing to do.
So, as another step to the tutorial, unexpected, but I can pull up my physical copy of that archetype. And luckily it wasn't everything. Luckily it didn't just completely delete out your character, because that would not have been a good thing. I will go
Yeah,
to
if it's
the...
just skills, it's not that long.
I'll go to the drone jockey here, and then I can just add. So you have 2 energy weapons, 2 for melee, 2 for unarmed, 2 for trick, 3 for computers. So I'm going to click skills, go to computers, click that. 1 for dodge, 1 for find. Science, so I can click skills, choose science. And then reality 2. So here we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. So all 16 skill adds should be on your character sheet now.
Yep. I see them.
I don't think I've ever seen a character sheet skills ads just go completely blank when everything else was there. That is very strange.
Yeah, I have no idea what happened because I was pretty sure that it was all there before.
Yeah, I am too, because I usually test out stuff before I assign the character sheet to the player. So if we go over here, while we're waiting for Peter to return, if he wanted to use are you back?
Yep.
Down here are the 2. If he would have been in an up round, he could do an up, or using one of these cyber papacy possibilities. If he was using it on magic or non-cyber church, he could hit that up. If he wanted to use a possibility, he could hit that possibility. So your persuasion wasn't enough to, he's just kind of ignoring you. Goes back to fixing his sign.
That's fine.
Well, I will have my drone look for signs of said demon, whether or not there are tracks or whatnot.
Okay.
So it has tracking favored. I thought it was fine. Tracking is what's favored, but a find first to see if it can find something.
Yes.
Wow, we are skilled.
He rolled a 2 as well.
We're not very good, are we?
That's why we're not part of the circle.
We have to prove ourselves. There's nothing in the street like claw marks, footprints leading off in any particular direction.
As I said earlier, you did see where there were some bullet holes and scorch marks along some of the walls. So if
Right.
you actually went over there, you might be able to see something a little more detailed.
I will do that.
I will follow along. I will scold my drone.
So you get over there and you kind of look around, and on the ground you don't even need to roll because it's pretty obvious. You see what appears to be a thin layer of slime and possibly some dried blood kind of in that area with the scorch marks and bullet holes.
So
And
they
it
were
kind
probably, this is where it was standing and they were shooting at it or whatever.
Possibly.
Okay. Can't.
So looking at the slime and stuff, would it be what kind of role would it be to see if we could determine what kind of demon it was, maybe?
Um, that probably be either probably a conjuration test, which neither of you
Not a eye.
Now,
have magical background. So basically, what you know is that sometimes magic summons demons. The Cyber Pope uses that as a means to discredit cyber witches and other magic users, say from other cosms, and why uh, people shouldn't use magic and why the cyber church is needed to fight against the demons.
Which is really hard to argue with, really.
Especially when you have Tharkol knocking on the door across the way, so close. So it's not too hard to see where this kind of slime trail uh, goes
head,
out into some back alleys.
well, head that way.
Yeah, we'll head that way. And right now, I think I recall the scout drone and some of the assault drone, which
Okay.
is a lot. It's louder. It actually sheds light, so it's a little obvious. But if we're gonna stay to back alleys, I'm not as worried.
Okay. So you switch out your drones and you can continue. You do kind of start leaving that commercial area and get into more of a quiet residential area that is pretty close to the to where you were. Um,
I'm going to
you
try and move somewhat stealthily.
okay? So you can give me a stealth check.
I don't
Since
really
a
make
lot,
the attempt since I'm shining a bright light.
um, if anybody, there's like I said before, there weren't a lot of people out in the street area. Um, so the seven is somewhat good enough unless you walk into somebody. They're either not not out looking or ignoring what's going on, trying to get back to business after
Right.
some firefight, and from the trail you're following, possibly even a demon walking down the street.
I'm surprised there aren't any kids out and about, pointing at or, you know, something unusual is going on. Kids are going to try and watch,
Right.
see
You
it.
do, and it's probably something as a still being poor Earth that kind of frustrates you with the cyber papacy coming in. Not just taking over the area and government and that, but also just the way that, as you'll see here in the middle of the card, there's the law of suspicion. Um, so when things like that happen, parents tend to grab their kids and shut them inside, and you
Yeah,
know, and so that kind of irks you too because you're from a culture that likes doing everything around people and have even more than America, trying to involve everybody together, and the law of
right.
suspicion is just really you know made people kind of keep indoors. They might be poking, looking, what do I want to say, peeking out windows between
Look,
some blinds, or even some like one-way mirror or one-way window type things that is probably available at cyberpapal, tech where you can see out but people can't see in, type things like that. So I am going,
It
and
seems
here,
perfectly normal to me.
yeah, it's like kids shouldn't be in the streets. um, so what I'm doing is I'm going to switch myself over to that scene that I had made earlier in the other video. And then I'm going to move my players. So we kind of got to the point where it was just everything was theater of the mind. And you saw we were making rolls and talking about what characters were doing, what they were seeing, um, skill attempts, both successful and failures that they were attempting. And now I can just take this player bookmark or ribbon and I can move it over. And now both of Tony, Anthony, and Peter, they will now see this screen, but as the player. And as a reminder to what the player sees at this point is they'll see the bonus chart, the cyberpapacy possibilities, cyberpapacy laws and axioms, and the combined action chart. And then up here, they'll see this area, the street that they're on, their tokens, and a building. But since they're not in the building, they can't see the building or see the inside of the building. So I will rejoin as the game master, and we will get here. So you're walking down the street. As I said, you got to a more residential area, and this here is kind of a wall, probably about 5 foot tall wall around. So you can't just walk over it, but if you wanted to hop over it, it would take a couple more squares of movement, say about 4 more meters. But there is also a opening in the wall here. You also do notice a sign that says "Les Hostel Petite," and right about here, the trail, the slime trail that you were following, kind of abruptly ends.
I would like to hop over the wall.
Okay, so you can just move your token over the wall.
Can you give me my assault drone? I cannot drag those onto
you
the
can't.
screen.
Huh.
Well, I think it's a
Interesting.
function of tablet.
Okay, so it's his tablet. Normally, a player could just, like I'm doing now, they could just grab it and drop it. He wanted the assault drone, so I will drag and drop it for him, and now he can manipulate it. So you're a both of you actually, are somewhat athletic in that. So it just takes extra movement to get over the wall. It's not going to take any type of dexterity or strength test because, it's probably up to your chin or lower, depending on how tall you are. So you can just, pull yourself up, kind of swing over and drop down. Go ahead and give me an evidence analysis check for Jean Paul.
Can you go through giving me control of my drone?
You should have control over the drone.
I had it on the other page, but I don't this time.
Let me take them off and then put you back.
We are the worst storm.
Oh wow. So can you control the drone now?
I can pop up the stuff, but for some reason I'm not able to move it where I was able to move my character.
Huh, interesting. Well, just like point to on the map where you want me to move him, and I will move him. I'm not sure why. It's probably a tablet function.
I will see if I can ping. Let's try that. I don't know how.
Maybe tap and hold. If not, use the see if you can use the ruler tool, or just kind of maybe describe where you want it to be from where it is. That's interesting. I'm not seeing your color, but I can kind of see where you're at.
Well, yeah, I'm trying to work things out. I've opened up multiple windows all of a sudden.
Ah. So, Jean Paul, you don't see anything. You don't notice anything out of the ordinary. I mean, there's just some tables and chairs, and over here there's some broken chairs, but it's a hostel. Young kids these days,
Yeah.
broken chairs.
So how is movement listed again?
It's in meters.
So at 9 meters, I can go 4 squares.
If your move is 9, you can go 4. Yes, because we round down. And since your assault drone is flying, you don't have to worry about the fence.
Right. So I'll have the assault drone go to there and just take kind of an overwatch. It's basically going to shoot at anything that attacks me or Jean.
Okay.
Then I just moved to there to
Yeah,
investigate.
and you did move the drone with you, which was interesting.
Oh, because so
You probably did a box or something and select both. So
yeah,
for a
when
game,
I'm trying to scroll my screen, sometimes it draws boxes.
right? So that's something to let the viewers know. If as a game master, if you want to move multiple people at a time quickly, you can draw a box over them, and then if you move them, everything moves. Just you need to click off of it to be able to select the token by itself again. So if I wanted to move everybody, I could move everybody like that. So you just kind of wanted to look out in the street to kind of see maybe that you weren't being watched or something.
Yeah, and I also wanted to look. So the slime trail disappeared, but does it have a slight curve that makes it look like it goes in, or does it look like it continues down the street, or something like that?
It kind of looks
Just
just
trying
like it
to
ends.
ascertain.
Right. It does kind of look like it just stops right there. The slime trail was kind of not exactly the same consistency during the whole thing, but it kind of was roughly the same shape and I guess what do you want, the same amount of slime deposit. And where you are now, it's kind of a little thicker. Like maybe it's stopped there for some amount of time, so more slime fell off of it.
Gotcha. So are those all windows except for a door in the middle?
Yes, here are windows. these are doors, that's window, window, windows.
Well, I'm going to move up to there and look in the window.
Like I said before, with the law of suspicion and cyber papal tech, they're kind of a one-way window. So it's not exactly like you're looking at a mirror, but you do on the outside, you see it kind of looks like stained glass church,
Right.
little kind of almost like a say what not necessarily a stained glass window, but that type of like say that you took a stained glass and you just showed it on a TV screen. It's kind of like that
Right.
effect.
Do
So
I
probably people on the inside would be able to see out, and you're looking and just seeing a nice cyber papal biblical scene.
right? Do I hear anything?
Um, go ahead and roll a find for me.
Wasn't a failure.
Yeah, it wasn't a one or a two roll. Um, you kind of hear light footsteps, kind of slow, like kind of going slow.
Uh-huh. Is the door open or closed?
The door is closed.
I will move my drone to there to cover him.
I'm going to test the
Okay.
door, just test the handle. I'm not going to open it. I'm going to see if
Uh huh.
it's
You go to turn it and it doesn't turn, so it seems to be locked in a way that doesn't even let the handle turn.
But this is a hostel, right? Like this should be a
Yes,
place of business, and it's during business hours.
it's during the day. You were given that note, and you were able to go down to the commerce area and then to the residential area, say within an hour. So you're not, it should be open at least to let the anybody who's staying there in and out to get their things.
I'm going to gesture to my companion that I'm going to try and kick the door open.
I give you a thumbs up because I do not think that is my forte.
So, you know, combat
so
boot to the door.
so give me a straight strength check. So if you look at your strength attribute and you can just click
Yep.
on that, and if it gives you a choice of like skilled or unskilled, or it says is it unskilled, no, just roll it normally as if it was skilled. No modifiers. And
Well, note
Anthony,
tablets are really
since
weird. I have to actually select the dice roller to be able to unclick anything I click on the side.
that is kind of strange. So first off, Jean Paul, you kick it with your boot, and you really think that it was going to just burst open, but it's a little bit seems stronger than what you had expected. So it still stays firm. And
I'm gonna,
for Void, uh, Anthony, go ahead and give me a evidence analysis roll, since you kind of got up there by the tables here.
I am experimenting to see if I can add it. Give me a second.
Okay. Okay.
Woo.
So you do notice, and you don't being probably being suspicious, being from the cyber papacy reality. This broken chair here, you don't quite just dismiss it as, oh, it's just a broken chair, because a lot of youths go through hostels and stuff. It seems to be a wooden rocking chair, and all of the other chairs around the area seem to just be the plastic, lawn chair type chairs, and definitely not rocking chairs.
Is there any slime by chance around it?
You do not see any slime by it. Jean Paul, you do hear uh, a voice after you try to kick open the door, from behind the door, saying, "Go away, we're closed."
Open up, please.
We're closed, I said.
I shall knock again. Open your door or lose it.
The door kind of, you hear a unlatching, and a a man sticks his head out, and he's like, "I said we're closed. What more do you want?"
Let us in, please.
Why? Why should I let strangers in?
Is that not what you do as a business?
Not when I'm closed, no.
Why are you closed in the middle of the day?
Uh, I'm making things nicer on the inside. We had a group of students that came in, and they messed up the place. He kind of, his arm
Does
kind of comes out the door, and he kind of points at the chair, and he's like, "See, they did damage, and I'm having to repair."
does the door open inward or outward?
Inward.
I'm going to put my shoulder to it and push into the room.
Okay. So,
Another strength test.
no, he's not expecting it, and he's uh, probably not as strong as you. So what I'm doing now is I'm just going over to his character sheet and checking his strength here. So yes, he's stronger. Um, so I will reveal kind of what Jean Paul can see. So I'm gonna go here, and like I said before, the black cloud is the fog of war, and I will go to reveal and click that, and he's kind of going through the door here. So he's at least going to see everything here straight out. And then this whole area down here, you'll notice there's no walls or anything, so he'll be able to see those. So I'll go ahead and I'll make sure everything can be visible. And then actually, I kind of opened up a little spot there. It's not too bad, but those are actually walls. So I'll go ahead and I'll hide that area. But up in here, you'll see this area here is wall. So I'll open up the area that's not wall and reveal it. And from his vantage point, he'd probably see this area here and then possibly a little of this. So what I can do here is I can go to my polygon reveal and I can start at the corner and I can kind of go up, and all of this part in yellow here, if I right click, it's going to become visible. So this is kind of the area that he can see. Now, since the man is in there too, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my art library, and I just remember I named him something man, probably CP man. So CP man, and then I have a token here, so I can drop the token. So now I have the guy that just got his hostile
Hostile,
invaded.
hostile.
Yeah. So uh, Peter, Jean Paul does see kind of a table with chairs, like where you would serve food.
Right.
Here in the middle is actually, instead of like couches and chairs looking at a TV, they're looking at a holographic display, and it actually has a sermon by the Cyber Pope going on. Over here is another little place to gather, and then up in this area, you see a hallway.
Well, since we're in the cyber papacy and it's the everybody's suspicious, I want to come over here and check out this area
Okay,
down the hallway.
so you just move right past the
Yep.
owner, and you do kind of notice some. There's like a broom and dustpan up against the wall here. That very well could have been the noise you were hearing, kind of like a slow pacing, was probably maybe him sweeping up
Right.
some clutter or
I
that.
don't see any slime or anything anywhere, do I?
No, you don't.
Not on the dustpan.
No. I'm gonna reveal this area now that he's up in here. So you see, and I'll have to go back to my select move so I can ping. You do see a door here, a door here, and I'm gonna move your, yeah. So and I think there's a door here that you kind of just went past, but it was closed.
Right.
And then it looks like Void came in to standing next to
Just
the,
into the doorway.
and he kind of looks really perplexed and just kind of like his head moves between looking at Void and looking at Jean Paul, and he's like
So I will have my assault drone come up right behind me.
Okay.
Is there anybody else in here with you?
Just Just my wife and mother.
And where are they?
In their rooms upstairs. Are you using trying to be persuasive or intimidating?
Probably intimidating.
Okay, roll. Give me a intimidate check.
I am the worst legionnaire ever.
So while he's saying that, I want to drop my voice really low so that only this gentleman can hear me. And I'd
Uh-huh.
say, we're on the trail of something dangerous. Is it threatening your family? I will try persuasion, but I am also unskilled.
Okay.
Lehman, did you see the note that I put earlier before we started
Yes.
about my uncle?
Yes, I did.
You know who I'm referring to.
Yes.
That's probably why I'm doing so poorly.
Probably. You got a 10.
Yeah, not too bad. I rolled a 16 to get a 10.
So we're doing good cop, bad cop.
Yeah.
He kind of looks at you nervously. Um, and like I said, the hologram is on with the cyber pope having a sermon, and he's in the middle of it, and he's kind of like, sin is everywhere, my children, on the streets, in our homes, and even within our very flesh. Sin must be cut away and burned like cancer. If you see sin on the street, alert the church police. If you find sin in your home, cast it out. If you feel sin in your flesh, replace it with something clean and godly. This is the one true way. And he kind of goes over and he kind of reaches out like he's going to turn off the sermon, and there's a automatic voice that pops up that says, changing channels during Cyberpope Malraux's sermon is a trespass and deducts 5 points from your piety score. Do you wish to proceed? And he kind of looks very hesitant for a moment, and both of you, because you're about the same, almost the same distance away. Jean Paul's just a little bit further out. Go ahead and give me perception checks.
Find or
Oh, wonderful.
Oh, find. Yeah, sorry.
Find.
Yep.
Woohoo! Oh, Anthony's doing better.
yeah, looks changed for a little bit.
So
Me,
Void, you kind of hear him go, kind of muttering under his breath as he reaches to turn off the hologram. He kind of like sighs and his shoulders kind of slump, and he's like, Agnes is gonna kill me, and he turns off the holovid holographic display. And if I look higher, you had just made the persuasion test, and he kind of is were something happened, and I don't know what to do, and I'm afraid to call the church police.
I will walk in farther and bring the drone in right behind me.
Okay.
I'm going to let you handle this since you're having a lot better luck talking to him than I am.
All right. So I say we're aware that there is something wrong going on, and we think that the church is going to use it to punish the wrong people. We are trying to take care of it as fast as we can.
He kind of motions you to follow him,
Okay.
and he kind of walks up to the door, and he opens this door here, and I will go to the reveal area, and it'll reveal up. Whoops. Roll20 has had this weird thing lately that when you go to reveal, sometimes it actually hides. So that's something new. I think it's just a bug. I hope they figure that out and change it. But you just click it again, and then it goes back. So he opens up this this door, and it leads to a staircase that goes up. This is a 2-story building, and it goes up to the next floor up. And he
I
kind of
was
walks
able
in.
to actually. I did actually summon my own drone
Oh,
somehow.
okay.
So the one back by the front door,
I'll get rid of that one. Yep. So I'm assuming you're going to follow him up the stairs.
Yeah.
As a game master, and then to the people watching this, what I'm going to do is there is a couple of people here. So I'm going to go to the art, and you'll see I typed in the CP man, and it brought up these. So I'm going to go ahead and drag and drop these onto the map and have it ready, so you can guess without me saying it that this is where this person is. So I'm going to put them there, and then this over here. I'm going to put that there, so it'll be ready for them. But as a game master, you can just drag and drop as you want. And then I'll go ahead and I'll reveal this area, because that's where they're coming from. And then I can just go to the select, and I can just first of all just grab everybody, drag them down, click off of it, and then kind of arrange people as they're going up. So you get to the second floor, he opens the door, and then I'm going to use this reveal area polygon reveal. So I'm just gonna kind of go down. And once all of that section is highlighted like I want, I just right click and then all of that's revealed. Actually, this middle part probably shouldn't be because it's showers, but it's not that big of a deal, and this is bathrooms. So uh, if I would have been thinking about it, I would have did box reveals and not included this area. Let me go to the. I would not have included this area or this area in the reveal, but it's not important, so I'm not going to take time to cover it back up. So he steps out. If you guys look, I went south between basically the area of your screen between the Cyber Papacy
Yep.
table tent and the combined action charts, and that's the second floor of the building.
I found.
So as you move further, you walk in, and both of you can give me another find check. I was over on art, so I have to go back to the chat. So Jean Paul actually got an 11, and Void. So they went upstairs, and then their ability to perceive things flip flopped.
Right. I also on the tablet it's hard. I hit the wrong skill, but so my find's a 10, so I got a 6. So not much
Okay, I
better.
see that. So when that happens, sometimes people hit the wrong skill, which is fine. And actually, it looks like my map was a little off. Things aren't aligning exactly right, but if I go to the map and background and click that, I can adjust things. So I'm not sure what happened between when I was setting this up last time and this time, but that looks to be better. And now I can switch back. It didn't really change things, but that was kind of bothering me. So what you can do is he pressed the wrong thing, but we see what the roll is and we know what the bonus is, so he can take that -4, add it to his real skill, and calculate it. Or if you want, you can just say re-roll the correct skill. So it's kind of up to you and how your preferences. Normally, with me and my group, and both Peter and Anthony have played with me a lot of times, is we'll just take the roll and bonus. That's kind of our default rule. If your rule is something else, it's fine. Just always let everybody know which way you work it, so it's consistent. And that's the main thing, is the consistency, instead of changing rules willy-nilly on what your whim is at the moment, unless there's
Yeah,
a
and
reason.
in this case, I did roll an unskilled one. So if I would have rolled a 20, we would have had to roll another die to see what it was.
Right, then we would have hit the possibility and stuff. So there are occasions, if that would have happened, we could have adjusted it, but always let there be a reason. So walked in, and Void, you the man is walking kind of around. I mean, you don't see the shower, so it's kind of like a wall. He's walking down this way, but you hear kind of thumping noises from up here. And actually, I'll go ahead and I'll just reveal the whole inner area, because you had walked past that, and I had already said that there is showers and bathrooms, so it's not like I'm giving up a lot of secret information by showing you that. So, from this room up here, you actually hear some thumping.
And quietly, I'll say, what's in that room over there?
He says that's just my wife. She has uh, nightmares sometimes and was taking a nap, so it's just probably that. But uh, I want to take you to I want to show you the problem.
Okay.
And then he kind of walks down a little bit further.
I'm gonna come down this way. I'm gonna come down this hallway right here.
Okay.
I didn't mean to put the drone on top of him. I meant to put it right in front of me.
That's fine. So he's gonna move closer.
So I'm going to use a feature of my override suit. I'm going to go over here and crouch in a corner and take
Okay.
over the drone. So the drone would be my point of vision.
Okay.
So I'm just going to go crouch between the beds
Okay.
and follow him with the drone.
Okay. I think that's where it's a little difficult to see, but I think that's where the door is. So he opens the door here. Jean Paul, you kind of see the shower. You know, you pass the showers and the bathroom, and he will open the door, and then I'll reveal that area. Sometimes you leave a little sliver, so I try to go over things a couple of times to make sure that the players can see. Um, he goes in.
Hello.
And I think Peter got a phone call.
Yeah, somebody fishing.
Ah. So you go in here, and there is an elderly woman sitting on a rocking chair. And she appears to be knitting something with some red yarn. The man's eyes kind of get a little big, and it looks kind of obvious that he's kind of shocked that she's just sitting there knitting something.
Can demons take over human bodies?
We had already went over. You didn't have the necessary knowledge to know that.
The rocking chair looks similar to the one that was outside.
Not really, but it is a the rocking chair. Um, is you being looking through the assault droid, and then Jean Paul actually being in the room, you get kind of that close. You see that the elderly woman's eyes kind of look glassy, and she looks up, and she has a twisted grin that appears on her face, and she says, "You smell like heroes. I'll offer you a deal. Just leave me alone. I'll only murder a few people every now and then. I'll keep it quiet. You can't defeat me without killing the old woman. So just let me be and let this one go."
Well, then.
Well, boy.
So I give orders to the drone to protect John Paul, so attack whatever he's attacking.
Okay.
I'm actually going to go back to myself and go to the where I heard the thumping.
Okay. Um, Jean Paul, were you going to answer her or say anything before I flip over to initiative?
Oh, boy. I'm going to tell the owner I think you better leave.
Okay, so he kind of darts past you, very, very
Is
frightened.
this his mother or mother-in-law?
Mother. So you probably won't be doing him a favor by offing her.
But,
um, so what I'll do now is I'll go into combat rounds. Like I said, we are using the Cyber Papacy drama deck because I use the realm specific drama decks when it's not mixed zones. For the ones that we have the realm specific drama decks. So just to make sure that I had shuffled them, I'm going to hit shuffle, yes, and then what I usually do is I just drag and drop onto the the board directly. If you click it here, it'll flip it over face up here, and then you drag and drop. So I just find to drag and drop it. I'll use the upper map. Um, so Anthony and Peter, if you want to see the card, it's on the top map. And since that's kind of
Can you,
small, I'm going to expand it.
can you move it over to the left a little bit more?
Left.
Yep.
Okay. So, um, currently, I will say that we're in a standard scene. On this one, it's called I Know Kung Fu. And unarmed combats tests are favored this round, so I'm not sure if anybody uses unarmed. But heroes go first, villains go second. Attack and maneuver are approved actions. So what I do here is I set up a turn order. So if we go down to the one that kind of looks like a clock, I can hit that, and then it goes turn order. Now um, for Torg, you don't really have initiative in the normal sense of a lot of games where people go in a specific order. It's just anybody goes when they want to, as long as there's not some weird thing on the drama deck. But it is a handy thing for a game master to know, especially the more people you have, of who's actually gone and who hasn't. So if I go to the tokens, and I select the token and I go up and I hit add turn. And then I'll go to John Paul and I'll add turn. And then I don't have it in this game, but I have it in the other one. So, and this is something that I suggest for any game masters, especially if you're using multiple campaigns, is you don't need to just dump everything into it. You don't need to just go through all of the books. If you want to, you can, but you don't have to go through all the books and set up all of your threats and all of your tokens. Just do it scene by scene, adventure by adventure. And if you happen to have it in another one of your games, you just go over to your transmogrifier, you choose the game that has it. Like here, I'm looking for a turn, a character that I made. It's not a real character, it's a placement character. But I see this turn, I bring it over. Now I have another character, and I'll show you what I do with this character. So this character is just a blank character sheet. So if I open it up as a character, it's just a blank character sheet. It has absolutely nothing. That's not what I need it for. What I need it for is to put it in the turn order. So I just drag and drop it onto the map anywhere. That's not going to interfere with seeing things. And then I'm going to add it here. So you can just grab it and move it. So basically how I do it is when somebody does a turn, I just move them above it. And once everybody's above it, whoops, if I can actually. Once everybody's above it, then I know that turn's over and I drag it to the top and start the next turn. So that just makes it easy. If I wanted to do it with the villains, I could right now. I have possibly one villain, so I can remember when I've done one turn, hopefully. But again, for heroes, it helps the game master know who does it. And as you see, if I hover over the name in the turn order, their icon, their token will highlight. So if I have it over the drone jockey, you'll see the drone jockey has the yellow box around it. If I do the same thing with Jean Paul, that does it to him also. So you can kind of make sure you're at the right token. So which of you wish to go first?
What does favored mean again?
Favored means that if you do not like it, you can re-roll it. So it's not like a possibility which you add to it. It's just
Right.
I do not like it, and I'm not going to use it.
So you can re-roll it.
Right. It's like a complete start over.
Okay.
And to let the viewers know, I do have my own little house rules and stuff. I consider disconnecting the Everlaw of One to be the most powerful thing in the Torg universe. So unless something specifically says, like, there's the Realm Runner perk that says you can ignore a disconnect, unless there's a perk or something specifically like that that specifies it can be used to prevent a disconnect, everything else will not. So I believe officially how the favored works and how it's stated is it can't be used on a mishap, but mishaps and disconnects are different. So people will use it on a disconnect. I don't allow that because I don't see how a disconnect can be less powerful than a mishap. So that's my own ruling. So if that happens, you'll know why I'm doing it. It's a house rule. My players know it's that disconnect is almost virtually not able to be gotten rid of by cards or anything like that. So everybody knows it. I'm just letting you, the viewer, know it. So if something happens, you know that I am aware of what the real rule is. I just do things differently in my game.
Well, I'm going to go. I'm going to move to there
Okay.
and try and disarm her. I'm very afraid of those knitting needles.
Okay. So, one of the things I can look up is combat options and see if there is an actual disarm. That doesn't come up very often.
I guess I'm using unarmed combat.
So I, as a game master, have a series of handouts that I have printed off that are sitting next to me. I also have them on the other games. So if I go to the Transmortifier and I go over to Knights Without Borders and look at handouts, see if one might have combat options. Combat options. I can drag and drop that and look over, and I can see it might be something like a cold shot. And again, I can show that to the players. They can now look at that. So if we look at certain things, see a cold shot, you have a penalty if you're just trying to disarm her. And if there is an actual disarm rule in the book, if I'm not quite aware of it and I don't want to waste time, I'll go with another one. If at the end of the adventure I'm curious and look and find out that there is some rule or ruling that I've done, then I'll just notify people, hey, I did do this wrong during the game. I didn't want to take up time looking up rules. Now it'll be remembered. We'll do it, correctly next time. But here it's a call shot, subtract a penalty based on size. They give different things. I'll say an arm. You can, try to knock it out of her arm. So we'll give you a -2. And what
Okay.
I'll do here is I will grab this demon and I will bring it over. And now they can see the difficulty numbers because Torg has transparency. So they can see unarmed is a 12. I'll
So
count it as an unarmed and not a melee. I mean, the needles, I don't know how well that would be.
yeah. So modifier is a -2.
Yes.
And since it's favored, I'm going to try that again.
Okay. Oh. So you go to disarmor, and that doesn't do anything. So you use your ability to manipulate reality, and you go back a couple of seconds, and you try again, and you do a worse job of it. But you're not using anything outside of cyber papacy axiom or world law, so you do not disconnect. And since it's not a specific thing, like he was trying to use this unarmed combats are favored, so that's why that was favored. In case you're wondering, and
Oh,
he doesn't disconnect, and there's nothing to make it a malfunction or mishap. So it's just he doesn't succeed. I don't do the weird thing that, or some people do it. Again, if it's what you like, if it's what your group likes, and your group realizes that it's not an actual rule and they're just doing it as a house rule, that's great. That's fine. I don't do it that every single die roll of a 1 is a mishap or a malfunction. That's 5% of the times you'd be having crazy bad effects happening. If it is a true malfunction or mishap, yes, that's fine. But if it's not, then I'm not going to add other little things to it. So you miss, you tried again and missed again.
Lehman, would you be able to
Yes.
hide the Cosmo cards right now?
Hide them or use
Hide
them?
them. So the Cosm cards, we're
Oh,
not
over
going to be
here on
using them right now, right? Yeah, the
uh,
stat.
at some time I will, but I can hide them and then bring them back. Every round I'll have to
That's
bring at least the one back.
I just have a really small window trying
Yeah,
to
if he's
see
working
everything.
on a tablet, he doesn't have a lot. Those decks are going to always show up, and if your cursor is anywhere close to those, it can mess things up. So
Yeah, when I was trying to move the screen, I actually was moving around your card for initiative.
yeah, I did notice that. Um, and there's
So
probably
after he
some of
goes,
that.
so I have a question because this is the first time I've had drones.
Uh-huh.
I can give them simple orders and change their orders and stuff, and that's a simple action, which we have
Be
two,
right back.
correct?
Correct, yes.
All right. So in the standard game that we're playing, are we using that aiming prevents friendly fire?
Yes, that is one of the two main house rules I use. And for those of you watching it, normally if you uh, fire into combat, if that combatant is in melee with someone else, if you roll and end up with a roll total, not a value total, but a roll total that is odd, you have a chance of hitting another target. I do that by size, and if things are the same size, then and there's two of them, I give a 50-50% chance. So you still have a 50% chance of hitting what you're aiming for, but you have a 50% chance on an odd roll that you might accidentally hit an ally. If there's three, then it's a 33% chance. Just roll a d3 or a d4, how many. If something's larger, I will give that thing a larger amount of percentage. So say that you have say that I'll just quickly, I'll make this thing big. Say I have this and they're shooting at this and they roll an odd. Well, there's kind of two, if they're coming from this side here, if they're shooting here, they're kind of going to have two equal things of hitting this to one of this. So I'll say roll a d3, and then if you roll a 1 or 2, you hit what this, and if you roll a 3, you hit your ally. So you can just use things like that. But my house rule is if you spend a round to do the aim combat option, which gives you +4, I also figure you're not wasting, but you're using your whole action to aim. I'm not going to have you if you miss your target or you roll odd, you're not going to hit your ally. You're not going to hit anybody else. You're either going to hit the thing that you're aiming at, or you're not going to hit anything. So that is a rule that, as you heard, Anthony asked me about because I use it in my other games. Yes, I'm using it in this game as well, but it is a house rule.
Okay. So my standard orders when it's helping to fight with somebody that and I'm not there is going to be cautious. So it's going to aim to make sure that it doesn't hit them.
Okay, so your assault droid is aiming. So what I can do here,
Correct. And then I'm going to go ahead.
I can select the token, and then if I press this button here, I get various little conditions. So this one here, if I hover over it, you'll see it says aim. So I can click that and then click it again. and it appeared up in the corner of that icon token. So what this does is it lets
Really
me
small.
know that this token, the assault droid or assault drone, is aiming. And now that was a simple
And I was
action.
going to move to the door,
Okay. And
the door
I
of the room
think,
with the thumping.
yeah, I think the door is here. So if I'll just move you. If you go into this square, you'll be at the outside of the door. It kind of puts you halfway, but these squares don't line up perfectly with walls.
And I'll open the door if I can.
Yeah, it's kind of a simple action. So I will reveal that area. So pretty much this whole map is now revealed. I'll go back up here. And you see a woman who is tied to a chair and also has a gag in her mouth.
Okay, and I think that's my turn.
Okay, so I can bring the turn here. Both of them have gone. Now it is the villain's turn. So Peter, her like eyes turn kind of a glistening black, and her like tongue and lips turn a deep scarlet red. It's just like, you know, she stands up, and her eyes get black, her lips and tongue get dark bright red, and she goes to swipe at you. Her fingernails grow long claws.
Well, at
And what
least
I'm
she's
doing,
not stabbing with knitting needles.
yeah, with needles. Yeah, she kind of drops the needle, and then what I'll do here is I go down, and you see I have a threat here, so I can pop out the threat, and then I can use this to roll. I have it set up, and hopefully it did not erase ads like what it did with the character Void earlier. So here, just kind of like how a character set up, I put all the skills that are relevant. I have different attack options, all the armor options, and I put, as well as perks, I put threat features over here. So if they have any special abilities like this one, you'll see in this thing, which will come later. I'm holding off on this for a moment.
I'm fine. I'm online. Can I give you a call back? Yep. Can I give you a call back? Okay. Bye.
So I'll go ahead and I press the name clause. That's what you can also, if you wanted to, do unarmed. But if I expand this, you'll see that I have it as unarmed. So it'll bring everything. It'll use the unarmed values and everything. So it's usually better to use the weapon and powers. So I'll hit clause. I just said that she was just doing a normal attack, so I'm not going to have a modifier there. And then I submit. So you'll see value was 12, the roll was 16, the bonus was 3, the result is 15, and then I get to ask what John Paul's unarmed combat defense is.
Defense is unarmed is a 10.
Is a 10, so it was a good success with the 15. So then to roll damage, if I go over here to the damage, I can click that, and I add 1 die. Is a good success, is 1 damage. And wow, that exploded. So if I look down here, I rolled a 6, it counts as a 5. And then I rolled, roll 20 is weird. It will keep the 6 as a 6 instead of making it a 5, but then it lowers the next number by 1. So it took that 6, made it a 5, took the 3, made it a 2, so it adds up to 8. If I take the 8, you see this is what the base damage was. Add that, and that's where I get that 24. Now, I must not. I have damage as display roll only. I forgot to change it to ask for toughness. But would I ask for toughness, it would have saved a step of me asking or me having to look up what the damage table is. But since I didn't do that, I will go ahead and ask Jean-Paul, what is your toughness?
13.
13. So 24 minus 13 is an 11. And if I look up on my damage chart, which again, this is sitting in front of me, if you want to make a handout like I showed you with the combat options, you can do that. For Roll20, I normally have the character sheet set up. I just forgot to adjust this. So I'm just looking at my damage result, and an 11 is going to be 2 wounds and 4 shock. Now, I usually will write it here just so that when I'm communicating, if the audio is bad, the player can look at that, and then they can determine whether they want to spend possibilities or cards or to try to soak that damage.
I'm going to spend a possibility.
Okay. So he's going to spend a possibility to soak. So he will hit the reality.
Modifier
Would be you're in just a normal zone. So let me so that would be a dominant zone. So the modifier is going to be -4.
Youch.
So now what he can choose is he rolled pretty badly with the sorry. I was thinking too much ahead of myself. You shouldn't have a -4. For some reason, I was giving you disconnect rules instead of soaking rules.
Okay.
You're looking at a reality of 10. So you add 4 to that, you have 4. You still need 6 more to beat the 10. If you go over and look at the bonus chart, your roll of 6 plus your roll of 10 is going to be a 16. So that's going to be a 3. What's your reality is an 8. So if you spend 1 possibility more, you're at least going to heal 1 wound in all your shock. And
So
sorry to you and sorry to the viewers for completely having a brain slip up and going in disconnect rules for some reason.
So I spent 2 possibilities, correct?
You spent 1 if you want to try to spend another 1, you'll at least heal 1 wound in all your shock. You might heal more depending on what you roll.
Okay. So spending another possibility.
Okay, so he's going to hit the possibility button down here.
On the modifier, it's 0, not negative.
Yeah, on the modifier this time put 0. If it would have
Okay.
been an actual truly -4, he would put the -4. But I messed up, so he can fix that now. He can put 0. When it asks him what his previous roll was, he can put 6. and
Put
then he
6.
can put 6. That's what your original roll was, and he rolled something that was lower than a it was 10 or lower, so it became a 10 automatically. It made it a 16 plus 3, so his result is an 11. You heal 1 wound and all your shock, so you only take 1 wound. If he only had 1 turn, which he put 1 card into his pool. If that you normally, if it's a hero or a drama, he could use that, but an action card or adrenaline would not be enough to heal both wounds. So you'll see he dropped his possibilities here, and he gave himself a wound there. So he's at 1 wound. So I will go ahead and draw a new card. So if I go over to my collection and go to my Cyber Papacy drama deck and show that, then I can draw another card. And then I can hide.
You can probably leave that. You can leave the drama and the destiny. Probably it was really only the Cosm cards that were in the way.
And then since, as you see, this here is blocking my view, I can turn it into a pop out, and then I can actually go here and see what it is. So ignorance is bliss. Any cards played out of a player's action pool must be played randomly instead of selected by the player. So if you're going to try to use any cards, well, right now would be the best time to do it because you're in the second round and you don't place a card into your pool, so you only have 1. So the villain is going to go first. Heroes will fatigue at their turn, and then maneuver is the approved action. So she's going to try to swipe at you again. So
I don't know why, Layman, but
yes.
Your card went under the other one for me. The new one went under the one you had there before.
So
like it was transparent, like I can see through it and I can read it kind of, but it's underneath of it.
It's fine. Might be a tablet thing, because yeah. So what I'll do is I'll just move the old one up and over, and I'll keep this one here because that's weird. I think that's probably a tablet.
Yeah, thing. It's weird. It slid underneath of it, and I could kind of see that it was there, but all the other words were over, so it was like double type.
Right. Oh, interesting. So she's going to claw again. Since I popped out the character sheet, this pop out goes behind it instead of ahead of it. So I'm just going to go here. There's not going to be any modifiers. So what was your unarmed combat again?
10.
10? Okay, so that beats you, but it's not a good success at least. And if I remember, your toughness was a 13? Okay, so this beats it by standard damage is 16. That beats it by 3. So you're going to take 2 shock from that one. So at least you didn't take any wounds. And then it is the hero's turns.
So do you want to try to make it vulnerable or something by maneuvering? Is that something that you're good at?
Not especially.
I mean, I can take the shot if you think we're just gonna fight it, but a lot of times these bigger monsters, we need to make them vulnerable or something.
Yeah, How much damage does your drone do?
Not as much as her claw. Its base damage is 13.
My damage is 14 if I shoot it.
Are you using a handgun or a rifle?
Rifle.
You'll have to disengage
have
from melee,
Which
and
is
that
doing.
would you just move yourself at least one square away, and then you become vulnerable.
Okay. I'm going to move to there.
Okay, and then what I will do is I'm
And
putting the vulnerable symbol on his character, so we remember that he's vulnerable until the end of his next turn.
I'm going to shoot it.
Okay. So you're looking at the dodge of a 12,
Yeah.
but you can just press your gun button, no modifier, unless you want to. I believe that you can
Not-
use either.
not-
Is it a short burst or a long burst?
I think it's a long burst.
If it's a long burst, then you use like 7 ammo, but you get a +7 to hit.
Yeah, there's after the name there's a +A and it says 7.
Yeah, that's if you. I wrote that in there in case you want to use the long burst to remind yourself. It will not add into any of the things by itself. It's just there as kind of a reminder.
Okay, do I press the gun or do I press fire combat?
Press the gun.
Modifier?
Are you using long burst or are you just shooting her once?
I'll use the long burst.
Okay. So then you get a +7.
I don't need to add the plus, just type in 7, correct?
You can do it either way.
Okay.
Yeah, for the viewers, you can either type +7 or you can just type 7. If you have a negative, you have to type the minus
Right.
sign beforehand.
I know it's negative.
So you will for your ammo, you will spend 7 ammo, so you use up more, and the malfunction range would be in there, but you rolled high enough.
Now should I
Oh wait, hold
under
on
ammo?
one moment. Value 18. Okay. Yeah, he was wounded, so um, the value looks really high. Fire combat 3. Maybe it did add that 7 to it. I keep getting these messages, so everybody who watches this will just see I got a coupon for Burger King.
Now under
So
ammo,
11. Ah, that's what happened. Okay. It does add that. I tried that yesterday, or maybe it was a little while ago. It was when I was making these characters, and it didn't show up. But yes, that 7 actually did show up. So it was 7 lower. That's why you had the 18 here. Normally you have 11. So it's an 18, which is still, if you look above her dodge, it's still a good success. It just wasn't that 25. So the 18 should have been a modifier of 0. I told him wrong. I had thought I added something into that A and tested it and didn't see a result, but apparently that does give the 7. Wounded subtracts 1. The roll was a 14, which gave a 1. So the 1 plus 7 plus the -1 plus 1 cancel each other out, plus the 7 adds to it to get the 25. But that 7 was a miscalculation. So I just take it away. The value ends up as an 18. Good success. You can hit your damage. You can add 1 to the bonus die. If it does ask for toughness, which apparently it didn't, but you also did really well. So here, look at this amazing roll. Rolled 1 bonus die. The first one explodes, and that's why it's green. It counts as a 5, but Roll20 does that really weird thing where the first time it doesn't reduce it to a 5, it reduces the next one by 1. So the roll here is showing 6552. In reality, it was a 6 which counted as a 5, a 6 which counted as a 5, a 6 which counted as a 5, and then a 3. It all adds up to the exact same thing. 32 damage, crazy damage for 1 roll. I will go ahead, though, quickly. I'll go to the, that was the portrait. I'll go to the character sheet, and I will switch that to ask for toughness. It just makes it easier. And let me go through the other character sheets to make sure as well.
I changed mine.
Okay.
I already changed mine.
It just makes it easier. So here I look up 13, or 32. 32, the toughness of this is 16, so it doubled the toughness. 16 result points, which if I look at the damage chart, or if you have it memorized, is 3 wounds, 6 shock. So this elderly old lady just got riddled full of bullets. The Storm Knight John Paul is like, I don't care if I kill the old woman, I'm just shooting at the nasty demon that
She
that
ripped me open.
Yeah, that just ripped me open with big nasty claws. So she's gonna try, or it's gonna try to soak that. So if I go here, and I will show this and explain to the players as well as the viewers, threats are not made the same way that characters are made. So unlike games like Pathfinder and certain editions of D&D, where you basically make a character and then you add things through, what are they called? I want to say templates. Is that the correct word, Tony? I know that you do those games. So,
Templates or archetypes.
yeah, you add those on it, but basically monsters and creatures and threats, etc., are made the same way characters are made. And Torg is more like, say, first edition D&D, second edition, fourth edition, and other games that are completely different. So one of the things that I mentioned in my previous video when I was setting up this scene and showing you how I set up characters, the characters I use, and if I was making a threat or an NPC using character generation rules, I would use the reality based off of charisma. When threats are made, though, we as creators, authors, we look at what is needed for the scene. So if I need a certain reality, that's the reality I'm going to make it. So I might, over here, you'll see I still have it as spirit, not as charisma, because I need that 12. And instead of adjusting a charisma and adjusting everything else over here, I'm just going to keep that reality. So I'm going to roll that reality, and it's not modified yet. But I rolled really bad.
Yay!
So the demon is started off with some possibilities. So since I'm started off with this many possibilities for the viewers, used a possibility, and now is not going to soak, so she's going to spend another possibility. I'm going to enter possibility. Now, I didn't have a modifier to begin with, so that's going to be no. And then my last roll, I look up here as a 4. There is a way on the character sheet in my very first video. If you look at that, I have it so it showed you how to set it to remember the last roll. It's great in theory. In practice, I found it to not work so good because you have to keep your token selected to remember that number. If you click off of it and come back, it'll make a roll, but it adds really weird random rolls. It's not what that last roll, so here is a 4. That was happening so much that taking that option off and making me have to put a 4 here while it's an extra number I type, it is so much less likely to have a problem because if I click off the token, I don't have to worry about what I've done. I just worry about what that last roll was. So I'm going to hit the submit, and the result was a 13, which was a normal success. So she, instead of taking 3 wounds, 6 shock, all the shock is healed, and then damage, she had that many is 2. So she healed one wound and took 2 wounds. So if you're familiar with the adventure, if the fiend suffers a wound, something happens. So you riddle her with bullets, and they stick. You see her trying to bend reality to find another alternate reality that she's not damaged, and well, she doesn't quite get there, but she gets a little better than what it would have been. But she's definitely angry. The old woman does a exorcist barf vomit, and over here I'm going to add those 2 wounds, and you'll see why. She does an exorcist vomit, and it's actually, though, it's like blood, and it starts to form in front of her, and then I can pop that out.
Oh, wonderful.
And it forms, and it's kind of from the waist up is definitely, you're seeing demons, demon teeth, demon, dark reddish skin, horns. But instead of feet or even like hooves, it's a slimy worm.
Okay.
Leaving?
So, yes. So, okay. So you're playing play resistance.
I think we need it.
So I will be incorporating that into the next little bit here. What I do need from you immediately is a fear check, which is a willpower check. So if you don't have the willpower skill, go ahead and add that to your character sheet, and then press that. And if I go here to show, well, if I bring that character sheet back up for the threat.
No modifier?
No modifier. Okay. Oh, wait. So, ouch. So you thought the knitting needles were bad, and now it's a slimy centaur worm demon.
Oh, should I use my last possibility?
Things don't sound like they're
It,
going very
it'll
well for you on that
it'll
front.
make you very stymied. Well, you
No,
active defense. Oh, you accidentally hit the defense.
yeah.
What he did is he hit this here accidentally, and whenever you hit that, it's going to generate a defense. So
Look at that.
if you go to,
2 good rolls.
yeah, that first one would have been a great defense.
Um,
So uh,
I don't.
let's see. So you beat the fear, or sorry, you need to. Sorry, the willpower. You failed horribly. So you're very stymied. So I'm going to add that to the character.
Tony, I think you better do something because I'm in a world of trouble.
I'm trying. I'm waiting.
So that was just the first. If I look back here, I forgot to move the turn order, but I can see in chat that I had went with the demon and had done the damage. Then John Paul did the great shooting her, but not killing the old woman. The demon appeared, so that was John Paul's turn, and now we have Void's turn.
So is it the same stats for that, or do the stats change?
It's the same stats. It's just she was forced
Okay.
out of the body.
So what Void is doing is going in and taking the gag out of the woman's mouth and saying, "As I free you, get out of here with your husband as soon as possible."
Okay, she you take the gag out. She is tied to the chair, and she's like, "Call the church police! Call the church police! Call the church police!"
Okay. So I can't release you because if you call the church police, you and your husband will be arrested.
And when you get up close to her, you do see that she has kind of like a cybernetic neck and spine that is pretty sophisticated, and probably representing that she has a pretty decent piety score. So
Okay.
you might understand why she's tied up.
Yep. So I put the gag back in her mouth.
And
That's for
then
your husband to deal with. So then the drone will fire on the demon.
okay, so he was aiming, so he gets a +4 to his modifier. The result is a 15, which is just like 2 points shy of a good success.
I will go ahead and spend a possibility for my drone.
Okay.
So everything gets blocked. What was my last roll?
11.
11, and your modifier was the +4.
I remembered that part. It's just that I covered up. One bad thing, if you're going to do it on a tablet, do it on a large tablet, not a little one.
Oh, there you go, 23. So you at least rolled a 10 or under, so that jumped it up. So the result is a 23, which against the dodge of 12 is an outstanding success. So you're going to get 2 bonus dice. So
All right.
his drone aimed and already shot, so I'm going to take that aim off. So that is no longer there.
I'm going to do the 2 bonus dice now, but the card I did put in my pool, which, again, tablet, I can't move them around, was coup de grace. But I can do that after if I think I didn't do well enough, right?
Right. Yeah, you can add those one at a time.
And its toughness is 16.
Correct, yes.
So I'm going to go ahead and do the coup de
The coup de
grace.
grace. So he's going to throw out a card and use it, and then he's going to hit this bonus dice. He's going to add 1 to it, and then hit enter.
So it's asking me for my last effect. So what
Is
was it?
a 3. So you do 1 wound, 2 shock. And were you able to discard that, or am I going to have to steal it?
You're going to have to steal it.
Okay. So what we can do here is I click, and since he had disconnected and reconnected, I'm going to refresh my screen, go over here, and then I'm looking for the coup de grace, which is it's that one. So now that I know which one it is, I can do a steal card, and then he allowed the steal. It pops up over here. I'll go ahead and close that out. It pops up in mine, and then now I can drag and drop it. So if you need to help your players, that's how you can, do things to help the player. If they are working with small real estate because they only have a tablet, then you can steal the card if they can't drag and drop it. And then I'll just put it up here as a discard pile. And you did 1 wound. It had 1 possibility left, so it's going to try. And since I refreshed, the character sheet went away, so I bring up the character sheet for the demon again. Hit reality, no modifier, go to chat, see what happens. 10 was exactly what was needed to heal that. So
Tony, possibility to counteract that possibility, Kenny?
no, that
No.
is an old Torg rule, not a Torg Eternity rule. There's pretty much
So I think Core Earth
Core
has
Earth.
something. If
Yeah, they can't stop. You can't stop a soak, but there are little ways to negate extra. Maybe the extra die. But you did. I will tell you, for the tutorial, normally I personally don't tell the players how many possibilities. I normally do set this up. For some reason, I need to set it up here. Normally, that's why it wasn't doing it. Possibilities are 0. Normally, I'll set up a bar so they can kind of gauge around how many, but I won't tell them exactly how many possibilities. That might not be exactly official, but I kind of like a little bit of leeway when it comes with guessing wounds, shock, possibilities. I'll let them see bars, but I don't give specific numbers beyond the defense. So I'm completely transparent with the defense, but with possibilities, wounds, shock, there's that leeway. And these guys have been gaming Torg on Roll20 for long enough that a lot of times they know exactly what's needed to do. So you did run the demon. Now that it's not the old woman, you did run that out of possibilities. With the demon coming into effect, it changes the scene from standard to what do I want to say, to dramatic.
Oh, and we fatigue, so we each
Yeah,
take
so fatigue. So each of you hit the fatigue. Again, fatigue technically is supposed to happen at the end of every hero's turn. It's hard to remember that. So I actually normally I just say hero's turn, you fatigue, everybody fatigues. I consider it something that they strain themselves on the round before. But here it's at the end, I just tell everybody. I find it easier to tell everybody at one time instead of having to remember. So hit the fatigue buttons, both of them will take some shock depending on what type of armor. If it's not fatiguing, 2 shock. If it is fatiguing, it'll be three shock. And
So
I'm gonna do something a little different,
what do we,
possibly fun.
Lehman?
Yes.
Hit the fatigue button.
Hit the fatigue button, the little plus button. Just hit it once.
I'm not. Where is it?
It's over by where
on your
you're
character sheet.
on the character sheet on the leftmost top.
Under your possibilities.
Or sorry, rightmost, not left. I
Okay.
mixed up my right and left.
Yow. Okay.
So I'm gonna activate this law resistance. I thought the theme of this being the resistance, being in cyber papacy, and me not having a lot of NPCs over here, is the resistance. Suddenly, windows. You got these 2 windows here, and here. These assault droids come in and burst through the windows. Plus, that way I don't have to have guys running up the stairs. And why is that? That's just like really not. It didn't come out straight for some reason. There we go. So it's small, so it's like in that spot.
Well, they also fly.
Yeah, they fly. I mean, the demon's pretty big. So then I will unhide the cyber papacy drama deck, and I'll move the old card there. And I keep the old cards there, so if I ever need to know what round we're in, if anything happened in the past, I can go back and look. So that is the reason why I keep the cards there. The villains go first, and the heroes are going to surge. Taunt and trick are the approved actions. So, reality tests this round are favored. So if anybody takes any wounds and they don't like what they rolled, they will get to try to roll again or do a completely new re-roll. So the villains go first, and people at home are seeing my messages. So if they pause it, they will see one of my Russian friends giving me a greeting in Russian. So that will lend credence when I've said in the interviews on the Ulysses Spiel site, when I say I daily speak to Russians in Russian, you will be able to to see that is confirmed. So to get back with the game, and as I mentioned in all my videos, I have 0 production values. So editing, Anthony asked me earlier, he's like, what are your editing skills? And I said, my editing skills is there is no editing. So this is just gonna get, I usually watch through it once to make sure that I didn't do anything horrible or accidentally say or do something greatly offensive or bad. and then I post it. So there is no editing happening.
I'll have to have my son work with you.
Okay, yeah. He's how old is he? Like 10 or something?
He just turned 16, though.
Holy, oh my God, really? He's driving?
No, he's not driving, but his sister, who just turned 17, is, and she actually just got her job.
Wow. Okay, see, time flies when you get older. Wow.
Well, and a lot of distance between us.
Uh-huh. Wow. Yeah, these guys are groups that I used to game with in person, and then people moved, and so now we do it over Roll20. So that's a great thing that Roll20 allows us to do, is we still get to game with each other, even when we are at vast distances. It also works with the virus going around. So we'll go back here. The villain's going. So these little annoying things have just came in. So I'm going to look. Mind of 10, that's pretty good. You still had did the most. You are still vulnerable. So the demon's going to go ahead and try to attack you, because
Oh boy.
that's the smarter thing to do. So I'm going to do claws. You're vulnerable, so I get to add a +2. And the demon completely messes up. It's not the unarmed combat is the favored card any longer. It has no possibilities, no claws. Basically, these assault droid, it was facing you and one assault droid, and then two windows burst open. The glass goes flying. These two more assault droids from the resistance come in. I guess maybe your little runner person was kind of following you, and then through the window was using the true sight goggles to see through the window, and saw the demon come in and was like, "Oh man, they need backups. Send in the assault droids." So these assault droids buzzing around the demon, and the demon just completely misses. Boom! Its turn's over. So if I go here and move my turn back up, hero's turn. You are surged. Now the drone jockey Void, he is from Cyber Papacy. He's a brand new character. He has no gear or magic items, anything that is not within his axioms. He does not need to roll a surge. Jean Paul, on the other hand, even though he's using just a Tech 23 rifle, he still has to make a surge. He is not of that reality. The Everlaw is kind of looking down and scrutinizing him. I mean, the Everlaw is a force. It's not intelligent, but you understand how to do. So all you need to do is type in /roll space 1d20, and you don't want to roll a 1. And you barely make it, so you do not disconnect. So no disconnects.
Why you call this Unsung Heroes?
Yeah. No singing gonna happen about these guys. It's hero's turn. So I will let the heroes go first, and then I will work with the attack, the 2 extra attack drones if it goes that far.
I'm going to step back. Now, when do the
I was just adding wounds to that token because I had it set for this one, so now it's set for this one.
When do the icons come off my character?
At the end of this turn. So currently you're very stymied, which is a -4. If you do another burst, you're going to add that 7, make it a -4, so you actually get a +3, but you're going to spend 7 rounds of ammo.
That's fine.
But the 7's
I'm
already
gonna
added.
I'm gonna
so we
fire
just
the
look at
burst.
Right, the 7's already added. We found out. So when it says a modifier, just do the -4 for being very stymied because the fear effect.
Okay.
And your gun jams, using long burst, 1 through a 4 causes it to malfunction unless
Okay,
you
I can't
spend your
spend a possibility.
um,
Can I spend a possibility?
we usually, to let the people at home know, this is one of the rare times where people in my parties have actually used the burst option. So off the top of my head, I can't remember. With there only being 2 Storm Knights against a demon this game, I have not changed really, stat wise, from a 4 to 5 people normal group. I will allow that possibility to be spent to up that roll and not have that malfunction happen.
So click on possibility,
So click on possibility.
modifier -4.
Correct. And yeah, yep, that's what happens. So the 11 was adjusted up to 18 with the +7, the -4 for being very stymied, the -1 for being wounded. He's adding a possibility. So the previous roll was a 4, so it's at least going to be a 14 with the new roll. Actually, you rolled quite well because you rolled a 19 total, so you rolled a 15. And if I hover over it, you can see this 4+ and then a bunch of brackets and stuff, and it says 15. So that adds. And you're throwing down an action card?
Yep.
Okay, so I'll put this up in the discard pool. And again, for individual scenes, I like keeping cards for the most part on here. So in case somebody had a master plan in a couple of moments, will be like, oh, I wanted to get that action. It's up there to get. Or if I can't remember, did that person play that or not? I can go back up and look. So you added 3 to the 19. That makes it a 22, and the dodge is a 12. So you turned a good success into an outstanding success. So you get to add. So that was perfect to do. That action card perfectly made it an outstanding success. He can now do that damage. Add two bonus dice, and then the toughness. Hopefully it'll ask for toughness this time.
Yep. Target toughness
is 16. Ooh, you didn't. You rolled
What happened?
You rolled a 5 and a 1. So the 5 and 1 is 6. So you rolled a base damage of 20 total. Or you rolled a 6. You add that to the 14. That's 20. That is 4 higher. So that's why the effect shows it as a 4. So you do 2 shock of damage. That 1 kind of hurt you there. But you still did shock.
And now those icons come off me?
And now those icons, both of them come off you, correct. Yeah, I can take them off if you...
Okay.
So and
that's the vulnerable actually would stay, wouldn't
it? The vulnerable was because he had moved back the previous round, correct?
Yep.
Right, but he moved back again this.
Oh, he moved back again. That's right, because this thing got bigger. So the new vulnerable is there, but it's just vulnerable, not very vulnerable. The stymie goes away. The old very vulnerable, or the old vulnerable went away. You got a new one by getting out of melee once again. So then it is Void's turn.
So I have a hard time using the measuring tool. I
Okay.
have a movement of 27 if I run.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
where can that get? Can that get me to a point of view? Can that get me to a point of view of the demon?
Okay. So I can uh, go down, click, cross, say. You could get right. You could get right in front of the door, and with the door being open, you would be able to see the huge demon.
Okay. So I will run there and aim. Is that okay to do in a turn?
Yeah, that's fine. Your movement
Okay.
would, if you were doing an action, it would get a -2, but your action is aiming, so that's fine.
And I'm gonna
So
drop. The other card that's in my pool is Flurry, so I'd like to
okay,
drop that, please.
okay. So I will go and I'll look to see if I can find the flurry card. I found the flurry card, so I'm going to steal that card. And then he let me steal it. So then if I pop it up and put it here, I get the flurry. Um, so uh, the you went the way that you had last told the droid it was supposed to be cautiously doing this. So the drone, and if I keep saying droid, I'm sorry. I don't even have Star Wars on my mind. I don't know why I keep saying that. But it's
It's
going
going to
to
aim because of
aim.
the old woman.
Right.
Correct.
And
It's
then
gonna
you're
aim
going
because
to
of the old.
aim. Okay. So then now you get your flurry turn.
So if I play a Flurry card, does a drone go as well?
Yeah, sorry, yeah, at the end of like the heroes both went, and then yeah, these two other drones get to go. And yeah, the drone's considered you, so it can go on the flurry, but let me go ahead and do these other two little drones. And
Okay.
I'll just pop out the same assault drone. They're all kind of with the same uh, stats, but they're in melee, so I'm going to try to use the blades, and we'll see if that does anything at all. The demon has or unarmed defense of 12 because it doesn't have any weapons. So we're going to do the blades. So for the first one, um, is a result of a 9 that does not hit, and the second one is a result of a 12, which does actually hit. We'll see if it does any damage. So I roll for the damage. No bonus dice because it exactly hit. 12 unarmed, 12. Submit. And if I look for the toughness is 16. So I type in 16. I submit, and it does one point of shock. So the little assault drone has a little saw blade attachment that pops out, and it cuts the demon a little, gives it a little nick, and then
So
I
Jean
can
Paul was right to fear the knitting needles because the demon's melee is 15.
yes. It should have kept them. It shouldn't have dropped them and used its claws. It should have been attacking with the knitting needle. So it's your flurry turn now, and both you and your drone have aimed. So you'll get +4. And as my house rule states, they have no chance of hitting anyone else in melee. So void hit, normal, success, standard. And one shock.
All right, now the drone.
So the drone got a good success.
Think I'm going to go ahead and spend a possibility because I think that will almost automatically become outstanding.
Okay. So the lowest he could roll is a 27. So if we look at the bonus chart, that's 9. That would be one more point. But if he rolled a few more, it could be. So 27. So that is a 20, 24. So the bonus was a 9 added to that plus the aim. So the aim helped out a lot and got that to be an outstanding success. And a wound and 2 shock. So the wound, whoops, I counted the wrong way. I should have added one. What I did accidentally, it had 2 wounds. And instead of hitting +1 enter, I hit just 1 and the enter, and then that changed it to 1. But what I want to do is I want to hit +1 enter. And then it did 2 shock, so +2 enter. And it's teetering. You think that just one more good shot is gonna take it out, but it's still standing, and that is a rule. A lot of people don't realize Torg counts up. You start normal and you take wounds. You are given damage. So you can take up to your maximum wounds and still function. It's when it's one above that is when you have to either test for death or defeat, or if you get shock, you can get up to your shock limit because you start off normally and then you start taking bruises and take fatigue and get tired. And then once you get 1 point above that shock, you get KO'd. So it's not like other games, which you start off with hit points and then your hit points lower, and at 0 you drop. On this one, you don't just meet your limit, you have to go 1 point above. So you're really, really close. So that was the flurry, and we're gonna flip over another drama card. And the heroes actually are going to go first, so you
Yay.
might be able to do it. So, and if you don't, the villain's going to flurry, so that gives you more incentive to take out that demon. So the mishap range of all tests done by humans increases to 1 to 4 for this round. So any
Don't screw
like yeah, so don't screw up basically, or you're going to have guns jammed and things like that. And since it's humans, it's not going to affect the demon on its flurry turn. So
Or the
I'll move my
drones.
turn. Right, the drones will be fine too.
Okay, shooting it again. Modifier 0.
Yes, because you're vulnerable. Not are you doing the long burst?
Oh yeah.
Okay. So you got a good success. He was going up against a 12. He rolled a 17. That's 5 higher. 5 is a good success.
So +1 bonus dice.
But do we have to determine who he hit?
Oh, that's right. He didn't aim. So you got a big demon. 1, 2, 3. So the demon's going to count as 4, 5, 6, 7. So 1 through 4 are going to be the demon. 5 this drone. 6 this drone. And 7 the old lady that no longer has a demon inside of her.
So what am
So
I
I can-
rolling?
Oh, I'm rolling to see who
Oh,
your
okay.
target is. So I can just roll a slash roll space 1d7, And I roll a 1, so you're hitting the demon.
Okay.
Yay. I was really afraid about the old woman.
Target toughness is a 16.
Is a 16, yes. So,
Crap.
yeah, you rolled a 1 for your damage, so you did a shock. But it did do it. It did do a shock. This is not like undead or robots and stuff that don't take shock. So you are the wound. It is how to say it. It has less wounds that it can take, but doing any amount of shock is actually doing stuff to it. It's not just bouncing.
Right. I don't
So-
have too much, Lehman. I'm going to have to go after a little bit.
Okay. Yeah, hopefully this doesn't last too much longer. Hopefully it's really fast. End of your turn. So I'll take that vulnerable off you. And then it is Void's turn.
Okay. So, first off, just in case this doesn't go down right away, because I have to aim, I don't want to risk the old lady. I'm going to play my monologue card, which is what I put into my pool, and
Okay.
basically that can overwrite the text on either a hero or villain. So I'm going
okay.
to take away his flurry.
Okay.
So if you will steal the monologue
Yep.
card.
So I think that's the monologue card. Yep. And I'll steal that. And then I will play the monologue card.
So
that-
multi-action is 2 separate skills with a penalty of -2.
For each additional action, yes.
But at least 2 skills. Okay.
Right. Yeah, it looks like action was spelt incorrectly, but we know what that is. Any multi-action is the approved action.
So I will try to trick the demon into thinking that the I'll call out that the church police are here,
Okay.
and then I will try to wow. Yeah, I'm just trying to trick him, and I'm going to try to make him have penalties on his attack.
Okay, so make him vulnerable. Or sorry, stymied.
Correct.
And,
Stymie.
and I'm moving this guy because he would have
Right.
ran to hide at some point.
So I can't think of another multi-action thing that makes sense right now, so I'm just going to do the trick.
Okay. So their defense is a 13.
And the drone is going to aim.
Okay. So that was a success for the trick.
Regular
Stymied. So I'll add the stymie icon there. And the old woman
he gets
kind
to
of
go, but
cowering.
not flurried because of the monologue.
Well, don't
Right.
the other
The
drones get
drone
to
the other drones are going. Yes, that's what I'm pulling up that
that's right.
character sheet now. So they're in melee. So that's gonna miss, and the other one is gonna hit, and I believe that's a good success. So I enter 1, and then 16 for the toughness. And it does a shock because those blades aren't very damaging, but it did do a shock. And now the demon, its turn. Both of them went, so I can put that back up. The demon is going to attack against this drone. It's going to try to claw it. So what is the, because I already shut that character sheet. What's the assault assault drones melee? Is it melee or unarmed defense that
Melee.
melee?
11.
11. Okay,
Because it's
so
using
gonna,
blades.
right. So the 11 is going to be a good result off of that. And what is the toughness for that?
Toughness is 10, and that includes 2 points of armor.
Okay, so it does 1 wound. The drones don't take shock, so it does 1 wound. But those assault drones have like 2 wounds. So whoops. And then, as you see, what I accidentally have is these tokens here were set up on the same, because I just dragged and dropped them. So what I'm going to have to do
I was like, my drone's wounded.
so what I'm going to do is I just got to put none and then change them back to, and then Anthony can, or I can change that wound back to 0. Okay, so that's what happened. If you drag and drop, it's going to make every single token go to that character sheet. So what you have to do is you drag and drop, and then you change it to none. You can use that character sheet as long as it's not wounded, and if it's wounded, you can just use a modifier to make it not wounded in the math. So it attacked that, and then you canceled out his flurry. So we'll go next. And villains go first, and heroes are going to be stymied. Heroes with the faith skill, so you don't have nobody with the faith skill. So the demon's going to try to attack again, do the exact same thing. So I can do that pretty quick. And it what did 2 because it's wounded. Okay, so it re-rolled on a 10, but the 10. What was the melee defense for the drones? 11. So it missed. So the heroes, both of you are stymied, or everybody's stymied, but it'll be removed at the end of this turn. So I'm not going to go ahead, or I will not add it, but just have a -2 to the modifier.
Okay.
The drone will be at a +2 for the aim.
I'll go ahead and go. I will aim, and then my drone
Okay.
fires with his aimed shot.
Okay. So I will add the aim to you. I will take the aim away from the drone, and then you can roll with the 2 modifier. And I thought I had.
Now the wounded stayed there for some reason. I don't know
Yeah.
why. I changed
it
my
keeps
wounds
going
to
back.
0.
Oh, it's probably because it's on that character sheet. Maybe.
Yeah.
It should
So
automatically
I got a
change.
19. A 19, which is a good success.
Huh. Well, we just know that your drone didn't have damage. I'm not sure why it keeps popping up. So go ahead and roll the damage. Boom! that little assault drone did pretty darn good with the damage. And it takes the demon out. It kind of just splatters into a pool of slime and blood.
And then I don't think I have first aid, but I'll go check on the old woman.
Okay. So, since this was short, I know Peter, you said that you were needing to leave soon.
Yeah.
Um,
So
if not nothing else, the man, can come back and kind of heal her. Plus, you have 2 drones from the resistance, so those drone jockeys, they they make it into the hostel at this time, and they can go over there. We'll do the aftermath pretty fast. So, like I said, it screamed, melted into a pool of slime and red ooze. So the resistance comes in. They'll be able to make things quiet, like a cleanup crew, type thing. They the she's or the old woman is kind of a little off now. I mean, she was just possessed by a demon. So the resistance offers to take her into their care. And if you do what you said, which is like you'll leave the wife to her and the husband to deal with their problems about the church.
Yeah.
Then
We wait until we tell him to give us an hour to get out of the area.
uh-huh. So then you leave, you go back to the resistance. Like I said before, there is no Delphi Council, so the rules aren't quite as stringent.
Yeah.
The Storm Knights here have more of a leeway of what they can do without getting in trouble. I mean, they're still heroes, they're still Storm Knights. I don't say that they're anti-heroes or anything like that. But he didn't kill his wife. He just had her tied up until the demon was taken over. So go ahead and give yourselves 5 experience for completing this mission. And what they'll do here is they'll pop out the character sheet, or they have it already popped out. They will add a 5 up here. It'll appear here. And then I'll use the drone because the drones won't get experience. But if you put 5 here, it'll stay unspent. And then you use this advancement track. Say you buy something, then you go here and you can add, and then you can type in what thing you got, whether it's a perk or anything else. You type in the cost. Like I'll show you here, say that you got a perk. You can write the specific perk into, oops, I should, you got the 5. It's showing a -5 because we started at 0. But if it was 5 and they used 5, it would be 0. Or if they just bought up 1 skill at a 3, then they would have 2 left over. Or however you want to do that. So I want to thank you both for playing and volunteering to be recorded.
Thank you
for this, and hopefully people will get some learning done and figure out how to use Roll20 and have it suit them in their group. So want to thank everybody for sticking with us. If you stuck with us the whole time, if you skipped around, at least you saw something, and I hopefully you took something away from this half session, half tutorial thing that I put together. So I'll talk with everybody later, and
All
thanks very
right.
much.
Thank you.
Be safe, everybody.